Aries Ascendant people, the individual fire people. Okay, let's get into it, dive into it straight away. Aries stands for the individual fire. Okay, so let's first go to the esoteric aspects. Now, esoteric philosophy is made into divides the soul energies of the will, speaks in terms of will. So, what's the esoteric meaning of Aries? The will to initiate the archetypes of God on behalf of humanity's betterment. Keynote for the soul. I come forth, and from the plane of mind I rule. So there's that energy of Aries also, to rule, to initiate something. The soul race for the Aries Ascendant people, according to esoteric philosophy, is the first and the seventh, the first and the last both. The first is the will to initiate, the seventh is the will to build and express, who's also called the practical mystic. The soul mantra becomes the first and the seventh. First is I assert the fact. That's the mantra. Seventh is the highest and the lowest meet. The soul colors being the first one, red, and the seventh ray, the violet. The Vedic aspects, the quality of Aries is Rajas, which means it's pure energy. It's movable and it's male. All male energies will be outgoing, outward, wanting to make things practical in the world. Movable signs are the ones which are not as opposed to fixed or as opposed to dual signs as per Vedic. Movable is constantly needs to move. So it's a very active sign because it's got fire in it. It wants to move and it wants to move in the outward direction. Therefore, the sign Lord becomes Mars, the one who's the mover, the driver. Exaltation meaning what is amplified in this particular house of Aries Ascendant is Sun, the one who is Sun stands for the ego, the self, the personality, is amplified. Debilitation means the one that is weak in this particular house of Aries Ascendant is Saturn, because Saturn wants to be about the other people. Aries wants to be about the self. Obviously, they are in contradiction with each other. Type is dharma, meaning the fire, the will. Now let's get into the ascendant itself. Remember, in the basic principles, we talked about this particular view and what it means. As you can see in the first one, there is Mars. So the energy of whatever is there in the head, the ascendant is basically the head. This is the first house. So now Aries lands here with Mars as the ruler. So Mars house, wherever the Mars house is, it wants to have drive to achieve, a drive to initiate something in Aries. Now Mars here will also look at the Mars counterpart house, which is the 8th house. So it will be very amplified, the qualities of the 8th house. So let's see how this affects straight away, how this chart will affect. So what's the life path of the Aryan ascendant? What are they like? Self. First house is self, personality. The self is self-centered, physically active. Mars is very physically active. That guy over there. Inclined to competition in all areas. They're very highly competitive people. They're focused on self-development. They have an aggressive drive or approach to all areas of life. Very high ambition. Fire to act, action oriented initiate energy. So this is the energy which is in your head, will take it to all of the other remaining areas of your life. You got important, that's the important thing for you to remember. Whatever is in the ascendant, one will take it to different areas of life, whatever energy exists in the ascendant. So here we're talking about Mars, the drive, which is physically aggressive, wants to do physical things. So what will be their family like? Because in the second house now we have Venus, which is about beauty, which is about sensuality, which is about physical things. Physical beauty manifested in the external world. So Venus and Taurus being in the second, which stands for family, wealth, fixed assets, all those kinds of things. They'll be very sensitive and cultured. They will want to learn the family legacy. Their family may be artistic, creative people. Remember all the things of Venus, Taurus. desire for having fixed assets will be very strong. Why? Because Taurus is a fixed sign. So they will want to have fixed assets. And this drive will be very strong. Second house, remember, is one away from the self. So second house becomes the immediate family, the younger years. Okay, they'll be very, probably even be having very tender, soft elder siblings, because second house looks at elder siblings. The third house, which becomes Mercury, which is Gemini over here. What's the energy of Mercury? It's intelligence, it's mind, it's logic and reasoning kind of mind. Okay, we've all got different sides to the mind. Mercury will be the logical reasoning mind, intellect, brains to accomplish something, the intellectual part, the talkative part. So Mercury being in Gemini, the communication, well, it does very well here. Very communicative with younger siblings, because third house stands for also the younger siblings. Competitive with siblings maybe, because why? Mars brings about competitive spirit in all things. So we spoke about the first house, which will be carried over to all the houses. The restless mind, the logical reasoning, because of this aspect, the Mercury there. They will also probably use logic and reasoning, Mercury, towards cultivating physical skill sets like competitive sports, looking for competition in all areas of life, and they will develop skills towards that. Why? Because it's a combination of Mercury, which Mars is looking from the ascendant. This is how ascendant plays a crucial role in the themes of anyone's life. So now in the fourth house, what do we have? In the fourth house is the sign of Cancer, where Jupiter is exalted, Mars is debilitated. Now what does it mean, Mars is debilitated? Now this person is very driven by Mars. So wherever Mars is debilitated, it means that the person will have a more heart-centered focus here, not so much of their drive. So they'll be heavily influenced by their mother. Emotionally very attached to the mother. Mother may be playing a central role in nurturing and caring at the home front, because fourth house stands for home. Strong influence on their character will be from the mother figure in their house. So this can go two ways. It can be positive or negative. You can have a bad mom or you can have a good mom. So again, it doesn't mean that the moon in Cancer in the fourth house means that necessarily they will have a good mom. It just means that they will have a predominant influence making up their personality. It can make or break the person. Wherever Mars is debilitated for an Aries ascendant, which is in the fourth house, this area can make or break this person's personality for life, because home is the initial place of learning, Jupiter. Next comes the fifth house, the house of creation, the house of creativity, education, children, romance. So, how are these people, the Aries ascendant with the fifth house? They're physically active with kids. Physically active again being the prime driver, because they are of a Mars ascendant, which is very physically active. So they will want to take the kids to play competitive games with them, teach them competition. The Aryan ascendant will teach kids to be competitive in the world, to be smart, to be confident. Maybe they will be the dominating father influence on the kids, son being a significator of father figure in anyone's life. Sixth house is of Virgo, again ruled by Mercury, where Mercury is exalted and Venus is debilitated, meaning where there is lots of mind and less of creativity. So what will this play out in the area of enemies and work? Why? Because sixth house is a determinant of daily activities, daily routines, enemies, litigation, fights, so on. So it's a Dushtana house. It's a negative house where we face enemies in the external world. Now, enemies necessarily does not mean a war. No, enemies may mean the competition at workplace. So their workplace will be full of clever, calculating, and shrewd enemies. Remember, Aries is driven by Mars, and it is just pure energy. So their competition will be all clever, calculating, and shrewd type enemies. Why? Because Virgo is more shrewd and calculating all the time. Virgo wants to calculate everything. What are my gains? What are my losses? How will I gain from this person? So they will have these kinds of enemies. This will change as we go through the different ascendants. So they have to get used to competition at work, which is facing this kind of enemies. Seventh place has Libra in it. Now, Libra is ruled by Saturn and ruled by Venus and exalted with Saturn, well, as we can see over here. It's ruled by Venus, looks for beauty in everything. Saturn is exalted because Libra is about the other. Saturn is exalted wherever it's about other people, wherever it's work to be done in the world. It's not so much individualistic, that's why Sun is debilitated in Libra. So, in the house of marriage, seventh house, marriage, spouse, and maybe even business partnerships, all kinds of partnerships looking first towards the outer world. So they will have very good looking, dedicated, soft spouse, Venus ruling. Therefore, the spouse of this Aryan people will be typically very charming, beautiful, or handsome, very giving spouse. Why? Because Libra loves to give. Spouse is a liberal minded person. Librans are very liberal minded because they are all about other people. They're very artistic, sensitive, and intelligent. The eighth house has got Scorpio in it. Now, Scorpio is all about hidden secrets. Eighth house, the Scorpio is all about hidden secrets, about assets after marriage. It's the marital intimate life. It's about hidden secrets. It's about occult. So, what will Aryan Ascendant do here? Well, as we can see, this is also ruled by Mars. So, there will be heavy focus of these Aryan Ascendant people towards the house of occult. They will be very focused and active in their sexual life. Drive to understand and involve and use occult subjects. What does this mean? Because Aries wants to use everything. It's a drive to get involved. Mars is very aggressive. It's a very aggressive sexual drive. Secrecy in intimate matters. Why? Because there's a Scorpio in it. Secretive about matters relating to inheritance and in-laws, because the eighth house also stands for these matters. Ninth house has Jupiter and Sagittarius as a sign. So if you go to ninth house, there's nothing exalted or debilitated in the ninth. It's ruled by Jupiter. So Jupiter, ninth house is the natural, Sagittarius is the natural sign for the ninth house, which is about higher learning, philosophy, higher education, foreign travels. So Jupiter being there, it's these people become very adamant about beliefs in religion. They're very traditional and cultural approach. They're not very liberated with respect to ideas about spirituality and religion. They always want to follow tradition. It's all about tradition and culture from that and not deviate from that. 10th house being ruled by Saturn, which is the Capricorn, the sign of Capricorn ruled by Saturn. Now, Saturn is typically a dry, cold planet and which wants to do a slow progressive in whatever areas it falls into. So they might face hurdles in career. There's late progress, and they might have competitiveness at workplace because Saturn is competitive fiercely. So they might face competitiveness at workplace. Success might be late in life, but they will get it and eventually retain it because Saturn also gives fruits that can be retained, not fruits that are fluctuating. In the 11th house, we have Aquarius, who's the unconventional person. It's Saturn along with the North Node, along with Rahu. So it's a unconventional earthy sign or wanting to be earthy sign. We'll see the Aquarius later on. Now, 11th house stands for social networks, gains. What all you gain from your life. And gains may be in terms of wealth, it may be in terms of emotions, people. 11th house is social networks and friends. So Aries Ascendant wants ideas from social network of friends. They are not so much keen on ideas because Mars is just a raw driver. Mars does not have ideas of its own. So typically an Arian ascendant will look for new ideas and new things to create, initiate from the social network of friends. They will have a very aggressive presence in social circles. Again, aggression comes from the Mars. Because it is Saturn in Aquarius, people are mavericks, so they will want maverick type of fixed friends who may assist in careers. They may even have those. They may make slow monetary gains, slow being from coming from Saturn, and steady, slow progress throughout life. They may even have fixed circle of social of friends because Saturn is energy of fixity, wanting the same things. The 12th house of spirituality, intuition, dreaminess, foreign lands, renunciation, all that has got Pisces sign in it, which is ruled by Jupiter. Now the Pisces sign, Venus is exalted here, Mercury is debilitated. Why? Because Venus is about devotion. Venus is about external creativity in terms of creation of any artistic stuff. All people of arts and crafts do very well in Pisces. Mercury is debilitated because doesn't need much intelligence. Creativity is a different type of energy. So as far as the spiritual life is concerned, these people are very interested in spirituality, more like giving charities. They may even lose money in that because they have a very traditional approach. They might keep giving to spiritual schools and institutions. This is what they got to be careful of. Don't lose money in the matters of spirituality. Follow whatever you need to follow. So this is my assessment of Aries Ascendant. Of course, there are a lot of other details to this. This is just a basic theme of life that will play out in their life in all areas. However, this can change a lot depending upon where the actual planets are deposited in which house. So to understand whether you are Aries Ascendant or not, or whether which planets are sitting in your horoscope, you can private message me and my services. Contact me at my Facebook page, facebook.com progressive guidance, and look up my link of services. Look up this link and you can see what I can provide for you. Okay, bye bye.